Randy, I'm telling you, man, it seems like every time I turn around, another day goes by. Have you noticed that?
Another month goes by.
Then another
We
month.
are smack dab into December, and Christmas is what is it? Is a couple of weeks, almost 3 weeks
19
away,
days?
something like that. Yeah, it's coming up real quick, and yeah. So hope you had a good Thanksgiving and are in the holiday spirit and
Yeah,
ready to March
yeah,
4th. We've got a good show coming up Wednesday. We'll talk about that.
yeah.
First off, Randy Wooden, Goodwill Industries, Northwest North Carolina, and director for our professional center. So if you'd like some help with your job search, we are free, and happy to help you. Work by appointment. So look me up on LinkedIn. You can find me. And that's Wooden with a D-E-N. I've been asked that. Are you Wooten? Is your last name Wooten? And I said, no, it's Wooden. So there you go. But this is our Monday show. Happy to have you with us where we talk a couple tips, a couple stories, and talk about our guest for Wednesday's show. But first, who is this person to my left over here?
In my screen, I'm below you, but
Or
I can
maybe you're
move it
that way.
around,
I don't
man.
know. That could be
Yeah,
that
yeah.
way.
So, hey, I'm Teddy Burriss. It says right there on the screen. And I run a company called Burriss Consulting. We do two things. We're a LinkedIn strategists, trainers, and coaches, all about helping people master the use of LinkedIn and Sales Navigator. Our newest business adventure is we're now teaching Google Workplace and Gmail as business tools. We got a YouTube channel and we have classes and seminars and webinars and one-on-one coaching all over the place. We love doing that stuff. But Randy and I get together a couple times a week. We play and we laugh and we have fun.
Yeah.
And most importantly, we bring conversations and topics that we hope can help people in career transition as well as people in our communities. So that's my story, Randy. So that's my statement. So let's talk about stories. You have a story.
Well, yeah, I got a story, but a lot of times we open this Monday show with what happened on this date in history.
Oh, yeah.
And while December 6th had some things that happened, they pale in comparison to what happened on this date, December 7th. And many of us remember it's important, but I'm not sure I remember exactly what it was. Anyway, it was the date of Pearl Harbor, the Pearl Harbor attack in 1941. So I'm a media major, not a math major. So I had to bust out fingers and toes and everything else there to figure out how long it was. 80 years ago. 80 years ago tomorrow, Pearl Harbor. And I know you and I were talking about this a little bit ago. And to put it in context, given our age and round numbers, we're about 60. We're
Somewhere out there.
We'll round it down to 60.
60-ish.
So if that's the case, then that would place us being born in 1961. You add 60 to that, and you come up 2021. Stop and think about this for a second. If that's the case, if you're born in 1961, Pearl Harbor was 20 years prior to that. That's the same amount of time as between now, 2021, and the 9/11 attacks in 2001. Think about that for a minute. So somebody who's a very young person, to them, 9/11 is ancient history. That was before I was born, or that was just 2 years old back then. That was the same thing that our folks or people like us could have said about Pearl Harbor.
Yeah.
Just to put that in some chronological context, to kind of go, wow, that's our nation's history. And those are things that are bad things that happen, obviously, but
it changed our world. Yeah, significant way.
Those were two very huge Second World War, and then all the mess going on in the Middle East. I mean, that's been brewing for a long time, but to actually go in there and bust some heads and really make a mess of things there. I mean, that was a huge war effort that took a lot of time and energy. So, among other things. Anyway, that's the date in history for tomorrow. My quick story is back. A little while ago, went back to Florida to visit my son and his wife for the Thanksgiving week, and long trip. I drove because I didn't want to fly next to people, doing that all day. So I decided to drive there, and anyway, made it down there. But just aside from the whole, you spend time with family, and I get that. Just something struck me. It was kind of, I don't know, odd because I'm odd, but one day we went to an NHL hockey game, a National Hockey League game. So ice, chilly, third row. I mean, I wasn't cold, but the point is a very winterish kind of sport or activity. And then a couple days later, it was Thanksgiving. And guess where we were on Thanksgiving, Teddy?
Buffalo Wild Wings.
Denny's. No, we were at the beach, sunshine and upper 70s. And I'm in my, I'll spare the graphic here. But anyway, I was in my swim trunks and in the water.
No sandals, no socks.
True story. I had them, but and I wore sneakers. I can't wear sandals because I don't like them. And so anyway, but bottom line is difference between ice hockey and then a couple days later, I got my toes in the sand, and a beer in my hand, and whatever the Kenny Chesney song is, but all that stuff. So the difference between it just kind of struck me, and good times.
Yeah, I get it, man. I get it. Yeah, the dynamics of the environments that you go into, from one day to the next in the same city. I get it.
Palm trees all around, the whole deal. Yeah.
Margaritas. Oh, that's a different place. So, hey, here's my story, Randy.
Yeah.
And some of you may or may not know that my business is going to adjust. We're going to be not just all about LinkedIn anymore, even though that will always be our flagship products, is teaching people how to use LinkedIn as a business tool. But we've got a whole new model we're working on because we discovered the importance of it. And that model is we're going to start teaching Gmail and Google Workplace. So I'm not here to pitch to you, I've got this new product, so I need your money. Wink, wink. What I am here to say is I'm experimenting with new ideas. And that's the story that it really got me thinking when my wife and I are talking about doing this new business model, this new business adventure, is experimenting. I could have just stayed on the same course of cranking out videos and blog posts and articles and webinars and books and ebooks all about LinkedIn. I love doing that. But I wanted to look at doing something a little different that's relevant, but add more content, more ideas in different ways. So I'm experimenting with this whole new idea, and I'm really excited about it. It's going to be a lot of work, but experimenting, that's the magic, experimenting. And I think that's something that we often miss out on. And I want to share the story of my experimenting and encourage you to go experiment with ideas as well. Who knows? Maybe you'll figure out a new way to make a diaper and you'll make $1 million a year with a new diaper format. I don't know.
Yeah, there's a term I use with job hunters called a comfortable rut. Yeah. And many of us fall into that, and we know the routine. We're not thrilled with our job necessarily. It's okay, and it's relatively safe, we think and hope, and until it isn't.
Yeah.
Right. And then you're like, oh, what do I do now? But we fall into a comfortable rut versus, like you say, kind of proactively seeing what can I do to tweak things different, maybe try something different. So anyway, good point. Hey, who's our guest? Who do we have?
Our guest on the 8th, this coming Wednesday, is Mauri Schwartz. And Mauri's going to bring a conversation about how to get your foot in the door. Mauri, really great conversations with Mauri. She's a career coach. She's has a business where she helps people figure out how to get jobs. She helps individual job seekers. She helps companies create outplacement programs to help their transitioning employees. She loves learning about what their clients do and how they can help them. And she's come up with ways to help us figure out how to get our foot in the door. Randy, visualize that picture, getting my foot in the door, ow. And then once you get it in there, what do you do? So it's going to be another, what I refer to as grassroots job search conversation that we can all benefit from. And so join us on 11:55 a.m. in the green room on Wednesday, the 8th of December. And I can promise you it'll be a lot of fun and informative. So you'll be here this week. You'll be here this week, right?
I will not be here on the 8th. We will have a special guest. I have involved with another organization, and they meet once a month. Leadership Winston-Salem, and it's an all-day event. In fact, I'm going to miss my SHRM meeting too. It's my last SHRM meeting that I would normally chair. So it's an all day. I don't know who to get.
I do. It's a contender. He's a contender. Melvin Scales.
Ooh.
And so
Melvin's
I've got
good.
to reach out
I've
got to reach out to Melvin today and make sure he's got the link to be there. But Randy, you got a lot of people who are vying for your position, dude. Some of them are thinking about actually paying.
They are. I've been pretty slack lately, but hopefully I'll pick up
we
the pace
get
a
it.
little bit.
We've got to be helping others out while we're doing our show.
Yeah.
So,
hey, my tip, we had Sarah Rosinski on this past Wednesday on our lunch show, and she Shiny Red Copy is her company. She's a copywriter. And so her big thing is the written word, punctuation, spelling, grammar, all that. And how can we make it better? How can we, almost like playing an instrument? I mean, you can sit there. I have the saxophone in the man cave. It's actually in the west wing of my palatial estate over here. I haven't touched it in a long time. So I play at the saxophone anymore. I used to play reasonably well, but it was because I practiced it and stayed with it, if that helps any. Same thing with grammar and punctuation. Unless you continue to use it, you'll lose it to some degree. And so seek out help. Grammarly can help. They're not the be all end all, but read books, follow somebody like Sarah on LinkedIn. But here's the key, is that people will offer judgment or opinions on your professionalism based on a lot of factors. And some of those you can control.
Yeah.
Many of them you can't, if you're aware of them. And that's the key. A lot of folks don't know what they don't know. So seek out, learn, and practice these good habits so that you can do better, not only on your resume and the interview and emails and thank you notes, but also in your professional life day to day, and also in your personal life. So that's my tip, is just keep your head in the game with that. Yeah.
So I got two tips. One, Randy, to share with us. Tip number one is for you and I to agree that we will never show up on the show with a saxophone and bongos. Okay, let's talk about tip number.
I may have a sax. Hey, I could do a Bill Clinton. I could get out there with the old sax and do my thing, but
let's not do that.
The neighbors would complain, I'm sure.
Yeah, the producers would get mad, and so would our sponsors. So, hey, here's my tip.
Yeah.
Protect your LinkedIn account. I've had conversations over the last week about people who ran into issues where their employer claimed to own the employee's LinkedIn account. Protect your LinkedIn account. Understand your LinkedIn terms and services. Understand the privacy policy. Understand the community policy. The fact is, based on the LinkedIn terms of services, that a LinkedIn personal profile belongs to the human that it represents. It does not belong to anyone else, no matter what any employer is going to say to you. And I may try to convince you that they own it if you're using it for business, but that's not the case. They don't own your fingers. They don't own your, your voice. They don't own other social media.
Yeah.
You may be using it for business, but you own it. No one else owns it. So understand the terms and services and protect your LinkedIn account so you don't lose it. Because for some of us, that's a huge asset. I may be using it for the company, but it's mine. So,
well, also too, just to piggyback on that, and I'm an example. I use my Goodwill email address as my primary because I want things coming into, and I want to be contacted through my work because I use it for work. But I have a backup email in case, somehow Goodwill's email address goes away, if you know what I mean. Yeah. And now I'm out of a job. Well, I still have that backup one. So make sure you've got a backup email set up as well, not just using your work email.
Yeah, absolutely. You got to have your personal email address, your business email address, and you make primary the one that you use for the primary purpose of using LinkedIn.
Bingo.
Randy, do you think that Sarah would approve of the words I just used? Because I try to say
her and me would agree with you. Yeah. Right, yeah.
So, all right, folks. Good to see everybody. We'll see you on Wednesday, 12/8, 11:55 a.m. with Mauri Schwartz. Yep. Take care. We'll talk to everybody later. Bye-bye.
See you later. All right.